I am live. Can you hear me now? Scheiße. Pop out. Hello? I hear and see me. Good. Even though it's a bit delayed. Can I pause that? I don't want to see myself live. It's all good. So let's give a few minutes until everyone is back. In the meantime, I talk again about this map thingy. I was talking, I do a quick recap again. One guy in the chat before asked if Ripple will move into China, and I was trying to explain that yes, I think so, that they do, that there are too many dots are connecting to Ant Financial having some or the other connection with Ripple and RippleNet. And on another topic, I was being asked by a guy on Twitter about the price of XRP, if RippleNet needs to grow much further, and I told him no, RippleNet has already now quite a decent size for a huge price. And with Mickey B. Fresh we were discussing, or basically he was giving me information as well, and obviously he provided that link to the map, and on that map you can, if I remember properly, find JP Morgan. Mickey, is that correct? And no problem. Genau, JP Morgan. And the thing is, RippleNet is, Ripple doesn't disclose everything. They disclose what they can and need to disclose to the public. I mean, we retail investors are not Ripple's main, how do you say, stakeholder. The main stakeholders are banks, central banks, payment companies. Those guys for sure know what's going on. And even though that map hasn't been confirmed being an official map by Ripple, I think it's quite interesting. And I think, I don't remember who it was, maybe it was Mickey B. Fresh himself, mentioned that on that map you can find JP Morgan. I now remember what I was also telling about JP Morgan. I think the night before Swell last year, there was a kind of a private meeting at the Ripple headquarters with some of the super banks' top shots, and I think it was a meeting from the Global Payment Group Steering Committee, this kind of group which helps make sure there is a proper governance on RippleNet, and here we can make basically the flow back. On that meeting, I think if I remember properly, there was even a guy from JP Morgan invited. So even then we can assume that JP Morgan is on board of RippleNet. And with that, I hope it's okay for you. I quickly cover 3 topics I have been discussing with Mickey B. Fresh. He sent me quite some information and basically I want to pick out 3 points from that discussion or information I got from him. One is that when it comes to regulatory requirements in a new, let's say, payment system or anything, basically, or be fresh, can I say, it's a best practice for regulators to accept a government framework. Can I phrase it like that? I think you could say like that, right? Yes, that's correct. Okay. So, and that's basically what Ripple did. They came up with this global payment steering committee, I think it's called, I think in 2015, and they're promoting that rule book of RippleNet to all those regulatory, I don't know, departments or institutions in the individual countries. And I'm pretty sure, and this basically, that this is usually enough to get regulatory clarity on a new payment system. This information from Mickey Fresh basically confirmed my opinion that we're not waiting for regulation, because this regulatory rulebook from Ripple is being there for, I don't know, almost 4 years now. And Mickey Fresh adds that a guy who works now or formerly for IMF and World Bank and whatever, like really a person knowing all those regulatory requirements, etc. And this is really huge. That obviously it's really enough if a new payment system offers such a self-regulatory framework, and Ripple is doing that since 2015. So again, that proves basically my point that we're not waiting for regulation, because the regulators, they know what they're facing when we're talking about RippleNet. Then what I have covered also already right now in this stream, that RippleNet is bigger, and Mickey and myself, I stated that since X current with multi-hop, that we basically only need one X rapid partner in each country. And I think, Mickey, maybe you correct me, you go even a step further, that even one X current instance would be enough within a country, and that within the country then it can the payments can go through the local payment rails or whatever. However, I did never really state that clearly in a stream or in a video, but basically Mickey wrote me that Ripple is not just a network for the big banks to save money for processing their own clients, but, and this is actually the one thing Ripple has always been talking about, to increase profit from increasing payment flow. There will be way many more payments when it's so much easier to process. Okay, so, and that's from a strategical perspective something really important to understand about RippleNet, about ILP. What Ripple is targeting with its vision is not to save the banks some bucks, of course that as well, but they wanna, I mean, why did Brad Garlinghouse always take the comparison example with the shipping container? When the shipping container came along, world trade increased, I think I read some figures, I don't remember. I think I even made a video about that way in the past. I think within 5 or 10 years it was like almost 80% more trade, or even more. Like the figure was enormous, and that's what's actually going to happen with RippleNet and ILP. It'll spur more commerce, okay, and that's really a good thing. And yeah, basically it's two things I wanted to cover: this regulatory, this self-regulatory governance framework, and that the real strategy behind RippleNet and ILP, that it's not just to save those guys money, but also to increase commerce on a global scale. And then I wanted to make a small correction as well. Last time in the last stream I mentioned that maybe the CSL banks could take the role of market makers, but it's not CSL, it's CLS, continuous linked settlement. So now I scroll up a bit and check your questions. RMB, this I don't know, this Azure, I don't know how it's pronounced, thing, I think relates to the Temenos upgrade from this CLS bank of groups, but there's no delay in that. The delay, I confirmed, I checked that with Darren Moore today, is in the DTCC part. That has been obviously delayed until the end of the year. Let me catch up. For sure we will see a big move. Which chassis left? Ripple, Testball, I have no clue which chassis you're talking about. So Mickey B Fresh basically kind of confirms that the members in more exotic corridors are chosen kind of by the RippleNet committee to make sure that it's really covering strategic banks in strategic positions worldwide. So really, he basically, this information Mickey gave me today basically confirmed in some other ways I have been telling about in the past, but it basically confirmed my view that we really do not have to worry about. Ripple has a plan. It's really the company with the best strategy I have ever seen. Laser focused, someone wrote to me. Laser focused, really don't worry. And also Mickey, he writes it in the chat, but I will repeat it anyway, that those ones not being part of RippleNet will be able to use RippleNet through API gateways such as XVIA and other gateways, and that's and this is another reason why those payment companies, CGI, Temenos, there is quite a lot of them. I forgot the name. From Finastra is one. CGI. Task Group was one I did a research upon. Maybe those are the ones which providing those API gateways into RippleNet, and as such, I have been telling that all the time, that I believe those ones we know about, those customers from Ripple we know about, are really just the direct customers from Ripple. But and I always stated, we do not know if a bank using Temenos or CGI software or whatever needs to have a contract with Ripple itself. Maybe they do a contract with the bank, whatever that software company, CGI. This we don't know, and that would basically be kind of backed by Mickey's argument that those ones which are not part of RippleNet as such will be able to enter the whole system via APIs such as XVIA or other systems. Did I summarize more or less fine, Mickey, what we're trying to bring with your tweet yesterday with this information? Can you still hear me? Stream says still good. Why would the World Bank, IMF, etc. hold XRP when a private company can dump on the market? They won't dump. I think they're restricted in the same way to dump their XRP as it's Chad when he left Ripple. The employees of Ripple, they cannot sell all their stack in one day. They have for sure contracts which will allow them only to sell a certain percentage per day, same as Chat, I'm pretty sure. No news from the WhatsApp group regarding SBI, and I said it in my last live stream. I think we're basically waiting for SBI, and Crypto Eerie basically confirmed. I don't follow her anymore, but I think she confirmed. I just read the headlines from her tweets, and I think she basically confirmed. And it was also confirmed by other guys going through that presentation from SBI, which was published recently, that really there is a delay until July. Now, if that means beginning of July or end of July, I have no clue. However, I still cannot believe that a company so big can be so stupid and make so childish mistakes with such an important system, and they actually started accepting orders for their order book. Why would I want to enter an order in an order book when it's not being executed? This is something I really don't understand. Well, to the moon. We are still not having yet utility. The what you're referring to, why don't we see real price increase yet? We will see that once we see utility. I will tell that over and over again. As long as we're constantly below, let's say, 200 transactions per second, we won't, it's not utility, and we will see pumps and dumps all over again. So please just keep on hodling, because we never know when the moment will be when that whole system is started. And I still stick to the Shane Ellis theory. Once it happens, it'll go pretty fast. Emonti, maybe SBI as such not, but you have to understand that when we talk about SBI, we're talking about the consortium. It's over 60 banks in Japan, and they basically have about 80% of the total assets being managed in Japan. So SBI as a bank, maybe not one of the biggest, but the SBI consortium, and that's what we're talking about for sure is. Am I right? The later they start, the more money they lose. This is what I do not understand. Who will be losing money? R&B. No, Empire, that's what I explained before. I don't think we're waiting for a regulation. That's what I tried to explain when I was kind of summarizing the information I received from Mickey. No, Testball DTCC I think is not the important thing. The thing which I think is important is those CLS banks getting on board with I think it's, I don't know if they're using Temenos or Pay Plus. I think it's Pay Plus from Vinastra. That's something more could answer. And that schedule still haven't changed. That's scheduled to be released in May. And my theory is that those guys will be playing the market makers for XRP. How many XRP to become a millionaire? Well, I don't know. A billionaire? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I think we will this year see high $1,000 values. So do your own math. I don't know if the price is suppressed by the big players. Yes. That's a good question, R&B. I think with OTC, that's what they have been doing, but making millions with OTC, that sounds to me like they must have been selling billions of XRP, which is, or I mean, they also sell Bitcoin and a few other coins, but nevertheless. CLS invested into R3. That's interesting, that I didn't know. I mean, R&B, OTC, basically, if I want to have a billion XRP and you're offering OTC, I call you and tell you, R&B, I need a billion XRP. Then you give me a price. You may say 35 cents. I say okay, or maybe you say 40 cents. and you say, and I say okay. Maybe you say whatever 30 cents only, and I say okay. But if you sell me at a higher price, then basically you're making quite some profit already. I really don't know. Will Swift survive? I don't know. Exit price, I don't have an exit plan. I take out what I need. Triple digits we will see for sure. No R&B, thank you, but I don't wanna get into trouble with logging on into other people's accounts, and please don't offer that to anyone else. I really don't want you to get into troubles. Ah, that's because you're not Japanese. Clipboard, if you wanna know why XRP can go high, and I think needs to go high, watch my video I made, I think it was this year, when I proposed $5,000 per XRP. It's about a month or so back. Okay, it looks like we're basically done with the questions. I really hope you had a good time today with me. I'm sorry to have again had issues with the first live stream. I really don't know what's the problem there. The second try seemed to have worked out quite well. I thank you again for your trust and persistence to stay with me. If you have spare money, please invest it into XRP. I think you will not regret it, even if we see a drop of another 10 or 15%. I'm not talking about that. I wanna get freaking rich, and I am pretty sure we will see profits and gains in the 5 digits percentages this year, for sure. And with that, I wish everyone a nice evening, and maybe we see us next Tuesday. Thanks, bye bye.